The government to appeal a Supreme Court decision on shanty towns, more vaccines expected in country by the end of this month, and its World Ocean State. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lissy Bastian with your JCN News. It's Tuesday, June 8th. It's good having you with us. The government has been ordered to cease and desist demolition of shanty town communities by a Supreme Court justice. The ruling was handed down on Monday. And in our top story tonight, 3 cabinet ministers react to the ruling as it relates to the demolition of those unregulated communities. The ministers spoke with reporters just before the weekly cabinet meeting. Here's JCN's Laurencia Smith with that story.
Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Works Desmond Bannister did not mince words this morning ahead of the weekly cabinet meeting off of the heels of yesterday's Supreme Court ruling, preventing the government from destroying shanty towns on the island of Abaco. Labeling the ruling as simply silly, Supreme Court Justice Cheryl Grant Thompson says that she's of the view that the judicial review application before the court ultimately affects every shanty town in Abaco and as such should be extended to cover all. She added that the government has the right to clear and demolish homes, but it should bring evidence of a breach of the law to the court prior to the action. Minister Bannister says that it is a flawed ruling.
You have a judge who has made a decision, and I want you all to understand how dangerous this is for the country right now. That we can't demolish these structures unless we go to her. You know how silly that sounds? I want all of you all to appreciate how silly it sounds and why that ruling is wrong, and why the government has a duty to appeal it as quickly as possible.
In August of 2018, the original injunction was granted. The Supreme Court, through that injunction, granted the protection of shantytown homes here in the capital, along with those on Abaco. Attorney General Senator Carl Bethel says he met with the counsel involved in the matter this morning.
We respectfully disagree with the reasoning of the learned judge. We respectfully disagree with the conclusions arrived at by the learned judge, and we will be appealing or seeking leave from the judge to appeal on the basis of urgency to the Court of Appeal, where we hope that this matter will be definitively resolved by the Court of Appeal.
Justice Grant Thompson in her ruling said she reviewed the evidence from both the respondents and the applicants, and the court is of the view that the injunction should not be veered to exclude the Abaco applicants, as it is incumbent that the court does whatever it can in its power to preserve the status quo. Foreign Affairs Minister and MP for North Abaco, Darren Henfield, also lending his voice to the matter.
I'm concerned about the environmental degradation. I'm concerned about unregulated buildings. I'm concerned that we're in the hurricane season again, and we saw what Dorian did with shanty communities in Abaco. We were there, we saw it, many of us. The mud, the pea, sandbanks, all destroyed, portions of the farm, lots of lives lost. That's the interest of the government, to regulate buildings in the Bahamas.
The Attorney General, the Minister of Works and Foreign Affairs all says that they do not agree with the judge's decision as it relates to shanty towns. I'm Laurencia Smith for JCN News.
The Bahamas poised to receive more COVID-19 vaccines by the end of this month. Health Minister Renwood Wells telling reporters just before the weekly cabinet meeting that vaccines from the United States are expected to be shipped to the Bahamas by the end of June. However, he says he's not sure which vaccines will be sent as they continue in their discussions.
We're going to receive it on 2 tracks. One, there's the bi-level track with the United States, which means directly country to country. We're going to be receiving. We know that the United States is offering both AstraZeneca, Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson, but we're not exactly sure which one of those that they are offering to the Bahamas. We are in discussions on that, and we should have some word for the Bahamian people very, very soon. But we will be receiving those vaccines by the end of the month.
As for the second track, Minister Wells says that will be done on a per capita basis, as the U.S. would have donated vaccines to the World Health Organization through the COVAX facility, which will be the route that countries get vaccines.
I think the U.S. has donated some 7 million, I believe, to Latin America and the Caribbean through the COVAX facility, and they're going to be doing it on a per capita population basis. So we're expecting that we're going to be able to receive vaccine that route, but we also have in train as well this week we should be getting, I believe we may be getting some vaccines from Tahoe, which is the last trench of the 100,000 we were supposed to receive of AstraZeneca from Tahoe through the COVAX facility, which is about some 32,800 doses, if I remember correctly.
Back in November of 2020, Minister Wells revealed that the government has budgeted some $4.5 million for the procurement and distribution of COVID-19 vaccines. In late March, the first tranche of 33,600 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine was received in country from the COVAX facility. The second batch arrived in country in early May. Now, the minister also gave this update on where they are with the Pfizer vaccine discussion.
That is the government's direct contact with Pfizer. We're going to be looking at that particular scenario because that is out-of-pocket money that has to come out of the consolidated fund to pay for. So we're going to look at the amount of vaccines we're going to get from the United States, the kind of vaccines we're going to get from the US before we fully engage with Pfizer to know exactly how much of the Pfizer vaccine we would need based on what it is that we're going to receive from the US and through the COVAX facility in total.
So far, the Bahamas has received nearly 90,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccines through the government of India and the COVAX facility. While the Bahamas waits to see which vaccines it will receive from the U.S., Foreign Affairs Minister Darren Henfield on Monday during his contribution to the 2021-2022 budget debate in the House of Assembly thanked his U.S. counterparts for their efforts in ensuring the Bahamas is a part of a promise to make vaccines available to the region. Minister Henfield says he's optimistic.
We thank Governor Scott, formerly Governor, now Senator Rick Scott. We thank Senator Marco Rubio, and we thank also the Black Caucus in the United States for their insistence that the Bahamas be considered right out of the gate. What those two members recognize is that the economy of South Florida and the economy of the Bahamas are inextricably linked, and if we can get our economy moving again, it pushes life into their economy.
Back in April, the White House announced that the United States will share 60 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine, which is awaiting approval from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration with other countries. 1 month later, it announced that the U.S. will also share an additional 20 million doses, which will include the Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and Moderna vaccines. Minister Henfield also thanked the government of India for the generous donation of 20,000 Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccines, which was used to commence the country's vaccination campaign in a quest to herd immunity. To date, a total of 62,183 vaccines have been administered. 48,434 individuals have received their first dose, and 13,749 are fully vaccinated in country. Well, also during his contribution to the budget debate as a member of Parliament for North Abaco, Minister Henfield says young people desire land and home ownership, as he announced that the government will begin construction on homes in Abaco for Hurricane Dorian victims by the end of the month. Minister Henfield also announced that the Ministry of Housing, through the Government Service Lot Land Initiative, is poised to replicate its Carmichael initiative in Central Pines, adding that by the end of the development, some 60 homes will have been built. Last June, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis advised that 46 permanent homes will be developed in Abaco and gifted to families as part of a public-private partnership between the government and Discovery Land Company. Dorian shredded through portions of Abaco and Grand Bahama in September of 2019. The record storm cost an estimated $3.4 billion. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.